But
I didn't do that because I was amazing.
shut up, Rodney. It's
One of
the
the things,
difference. The
one of
difference
the things,
between
Dark.
what?
One of the things that we talked about as well, and
I didn't
I
even get to
think that
finish my
yes,
point.
the P and T, the FTOs, dropped the ball a little bit on this. Is and it was something I was setting up before. Is that we're not checking in with our solos as much as we should, which is different to when we all did solos and that kind of stuff. But I think that that's also where we dropped the ball.
I mean, I'm just gonna say this outright. Hearing that Lucas has been being ridden with by FTOs several times, multiple times over the last month, and here I am not getting spoken to, ridden with, anything of that sort, is kind of a like driving point home to me that they don't really give a flying fuck about my uh, promotion or whatever you want to call it throughout the LSPD.
Is that the case, or is it Lucas asking to ride with them? Because I know Lucas has done that with a lot of people. I've had issues with Lucas riding so much as a solo cadet with other officers. So what, like, I guess this is a question to the room. Was this FTOs choosing to ride with Lucas, or was this Lucas choosing to ride with FTOs?
I couldn't tell you.
I can only answer for myself. What's that, Reed?
I can't tell you for sure, but I know that he has asked me multiple times to ride with him. I couldn't answer for like Jigs though.
Yeah, I can't answer for
And
Reed
Kylie's
recently,
ridden
but
with him once for his final.
when I was around before, I was making sure I was riding with all the solos. It was my primary focus because I wanted to change how we had solos.
Okay. Another question for the room. If FTOs are choosing to ride with Lucas, is it a possibility that and I know this is going to come across strangely because Lucas has been promoted, but was it more of worries about Lucas that FTOs wanted to ride with him? And that's
I
why
know
that
over the
happened.
past 4 weeks, I just like asked for progression on how like Lucas and Jana were looking for their finals, and Jigs did their finals a few weeks ago, and he had a couple of things he wanted to double check about Lucas, so he asked Kylie to take because he didn't want to be the like sole judging force on whether someone was ready or not. And I think he's been doing the same thing. Like, I think he got Kylie to take Jana as well, but it was in that one little like that pocket.
Yeah, he said he didn't feel good, so he left halfway through the session. And that's the only time that I've had with FTOs directly.
So did Kylie do a session with you or no?
Just the half of the session.
Do you feel like you've needed sessions with FTOs since becoming a solo?
I wouldn't say need, just for the evaluation process, just to know where I'm at. Since I'm being told certain things, it'd be nice to actually know that versus just kind of just being word vomited on me.
I was under the impression that they'd done a couple of sessions. So, I mean, that's something we can iron out, though. That's something we can come to a resolution with and get sorted so it doesn't happen in the future. And like Rodney said, like when Rodney got FTO, that was kind of his focus. And maybe we kind of dropped the ball with not replacing that. And the hard part is as well, we don't have a lot of seasoned FTOs in Shift 3. Like, we have me, but to be honest, I don't have the mental capacity to FTO right now because I miss too much details. So I'm not a good option because I can't give good enough feedback for an FTO session. And then we have Espinosa and like Davenport who are just burnt out. So we have a lot of fresh faces in the FTO program that may not be like completely across what they need to do. So this is kind of like a learning curve for that.
Go on, Ronnie.
So resolution wise, so we don't keep dancing around it. What I'm going to offer something to you. See if you want to take it, and see if you think that you're going to be able to benefit from it. I'm going to offer me coming on duty pretty much every day for the next week and riding with you solely, as what I was saying, as a little bit more of structured sessions, and then we can
It's
fine
difficult
tune
because she's
anything
a
that I
solo
see,
already, right?
and give my opinions on it, and a little bit more of a babying, but also a lot more helpful. So then that way you're getting that positive feedback or negative feedback immediately in the moment.
What,
prodding
you
you
got
for things,
rusty and everything fell
and
apart?
ironing anything out that
I
I
might
see
have
that we
to,
need to iron out. Do you think that you'd be able to benefit from that, and it would be of
get a
help
bit more
for you as a
involved in
solo cadet
FTOs.
in your career?
I think it'd be beneficial, but at the same time, I'm at a crossroads where I kind of have a sour taste in my mouth right now.
I don't blame you. To be blunt, I think we can all agree that there was a failure on our FTO department here. If you weren't getting that feedback, that you needed. So yeah, I don't blame you. I guess, you know, the problem that we don't want you going anywhere, Jana. So I think whatever we can do to use this as a learning experience and both improve the situation for future cadets, but also yourself, I think is the main outcome here. The main goal. I, a main personal goal is to keep you around, but we don't want to force anybody to stay anywhere. So I don't know whether this needs a bit of time to kind of see how things go, and maybe maybe we just take a week or so, like Rodney said, see how things are, and maybe come back and have this same conversation. Well, not the same conversation, but see where you're at in a week's time. But again, I don't want to push anything on you here.
Possibly. I'm still planning on speaking to someone from the other department because I'm not fully. I'm just not. I'm right now. I'm just not. I'm not happy at all.
That's fair. That's
I don't
fair.
want to say it like this, but it's kind of like it's too little, too late. If that makes sense.
I guess what's your end goal here? Like, what do you want? To be blunt.
Well, I definitely don't want to just, oh, here's a promotion, hop, skip, let me go there, because that's petty, and that's not my goal at all. It's more so I actually want people to be hands-on and be talkative FTO wise, and not just, yeah, you're doing this, fix this, and then they move on about their day. Because right now that's how it felt like, and I feel very underappreciated because I've been working my ass off. I'm on duty quite literally every day. I've taken probably 5 days off, 6 days off since I came back in April. And to be quite frank, I don't really want to take time off. I enjoy being on duty. So therefore, I spend my time on duty. It's nice to go community police. It's nice to meet everyone around the city. And I don't want to leave the LSPD because I spoke to you yesterday about this. I'm interested in the district program. I'm interested in doing MCU. Granted, I can do MCU in either 3 of the departments, but the district program is strictly LSPD.
Fuck, dude.
And quite
I'm
frankly, I've
scrapping the
always seen
district
myself as
program.
LSPD, not in, well, it was just BCSO, but now it's PBSO or SDSO. So, but if that's the road it has to be, then that's the road it has to be.
I mean,
And it's
I do.
nothing, it's nothing directly against anyone in this room either. I just want to make that very clear because I appreciate everyone in this room right now.
I do think it's a little bit of my fault too. I thought that everything and what my intentions with the FTO program was made pretty clear before I disappeared. It was supposed to be. It's supposed to be on the for solos on the FTOs as well as seniors to make sure seniors are also trying to ride with the solos to see where they're at and get feedback from the seniors. But then I disappeared, so I didn't really continue doing that. I think that would have changed a lot for this.
Yeah, I think I don't think a decision needs to be made right now.
No, it's not. That's not going to happen right now because this is
Yeah.
a huge, it's a career decision. So therefore it takes time.
I mean, in the meantime, I'm still gonna, like I said, still offering to be around and be more hands-on for you, to try and push you through and see how you're going and help you more with that. Because I definitely feel like I've dropped the ball through that. I was quite hands-on before, and then me disappearing. Sounds of it that all just got dropped to the side, which does suck to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So, I don't want to keep going in circles but I'm glad we've kind of heard each other out here. To conclude, um, there was there's a mess up. There's a big mess up on our part. Miscommunication on my part. I really want to emphasize, I do not believe there is a disconnect between command and FTOs. I think what it is we as command are not directly, down in the nitty gritty when it comes to FTOs. Like, obviously you're a solo, but if I go and talk about Max Prime, I have no idea what sign offs he has. The impression I get is from patrol when I run into the guy. Like yesterday in the shootout, his comms are pretty good. That doesn't necessarily mean that I think he's, ready to be solo. Do you know what I mean? But it's the vibes that people give off. You give off the vibes of an LSPD officer. I just didn't. I don't know the intricacies of your training. And where you're at sign off wise or, final officer wise. So I will emphasize and I will say I don't think there's a disconnect there. I just think it's I think there has been a slack and a mistake from my communication and then the FTO department. That being said, I guess whatever you want to do with your career, we picked you up to become a police officer. We're not going to abandon you if you decide to go somewhere else. So whether you stay with the LSPD or whether you go somewhere else, I can ensure that whatever you need with your career, we're here to support the officers that we think are going to go far and are really going to do their best for the PD, and you are one of those people. So, take the time to think about whatever decision you want to make. I, I and at the end of the day, we'll be here for you every step of the way. Obviously, you might not feel that right now, given the things that have happened, but that's something that I can personally ensure. But as for today, like I said, I think we've both said our piece and explained ourselves, hopefully to the best of our ability. So I think now all that comes is time from each side to think on things and for us to fix our problems. Does anybody have else to add?
I'm good.
You know, I think you guys covered everything, unless Libby has something to say. Libby is totally still here, just pending.
Wait, what? Oh, did she? Oh, okay. I think she was.
I think
She had
that's
some
right.
something in her ears. Okay, well, like I said, you know, this is definitely partly on me, so I apologize. But you know, if you guys want to have if Jan, if you ever want to talk to me one-on-one, you have my number and my office is always open for you. Same for you guys. We'll catch up in a little bit, but if, you know, in case you guys want to talk one-on-one, I'll, you know, the boss will leave the room. You know, give you guys some privacy. But
No, you're fine.
yeah.
We're all listening.
I know, but you know, I'm still one of the cool kids, but you know, but it's just like
He says I'm one of the cool kids.
I am one of the cool
Does.
kids, man. I am, but you know, I can host the vibes, you know, and I don't want to host the vibes, so I'm gonna unhost them. You guys have a good day.
Toss the vibe.
Hello?
You okay? Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh my god, Yank. Fuck.
Hey, I'm gonna unhost the vibes. I'm gonna leave them a bit of room to chat.
Come in for a second. I guess the question now is, like Rodney's gonna come on duty a little bit more because I said to him, I think what we're lacking is someone who is,
Supervising, maybe.
yeah. So Jigs's approach to FTO sessions is like maybe a little bit more I don't know how to describe
Hands
it.
off.
Jigs and Rodney have a very different FTO style, and I think you need that balance to have a successful FTO program.
Mhm.
And I said to him, like, I don't know what else to do other than you coming on duty more.
Yeah, I think I don't blame Jana. I think there is half of me has the opinion of, you know, being a solo is being a solo. Like I don't think I remembered when I was a solo cadet, like I feel like the feedback I got was just kind of like out on the field, that kind of thing. I don't think I ever had an FTO come to me and be like, hey, you know, this is something we need you to work on. But maybe it's because she's had a final already. I think a big issue I see is if she's had a final and she's failed, did Jigs not tell her like straight away, like the things that she needs to work
He
on?
didn't tell her that it wasn't. He didn't tell her that it was a final, but he
Right.
did have a conversation with her yesterday.
But that was
To explain
after
to her what she needed to work on.
That was like.
Well, I think he was waiting for confirmation of Kylie, but we would need to double check with him. But I had spoken to him, and he was waiting. When I spoke to him, he was waiting on Kylie's feedback on her, and they came to the same assumption essentially, and that was the spatial awareness, the comms. And he said pursuit etiquette, but I feel like that's all in the same bubble.
Yeah. So I guess
I think
my
she's
issue,
like slower at picking things up in pursuits when it comes to pursuit etiquette.
Yeah. My issue is that she clearly knew it was an eval because she said that she's had one. So if that's happened, and then, you know, Jigs has had an opinion on the work she's doing, and she if she knows it's an eval and then she hasn't got promoted, she clearly knows something's up. So then she's sitting in the dark waiting for feedback. Like, I think Jigs could have just given it to her straight away.
I don't know how she knew it was an eval.
I don't know either, but maybe it was obvious because no one had ridden with her until Jigs. Do you know what I mean? And maybe, you know, I think maybe the cadets have picked up at this point that we might be doing, like, you know, non-official evals and they're not announced, you know? So she might have heard that from other cadets that have been promoted from other departments, maybe, if they're doing that. I do see her point of view. Like, if I had an eval, whether it was official or not, and then I wasn't getting promoted, so I knew I failed, I would be concerned that I have then been left in the dark about why I'm not like. I would want to know straight away, what can I do to improve myself. So I can 100% see her frustrations there. That's, I completely understand where she's coming from.
Now,
The
follow up question: if you
Yeah.
were a cadet, would you, and you wanted to talk to another department about transferring, would you want to hear that there's a 60-day lock-in after you get officer?
Yeah, probably not. Probably
Like, I don't know
won't.
whether to tell her that or wait till she has the conversation and just let her go. You know, if she wants PBSO and they want her, then just let her go.
That's why I was like, give it some time, because if we can keep her, I want to keep her. She's very good. So that's why I was like, maybe just take some time before you make a decision. But if it comes around, then we are gonna have to, we're gonna have to make a decision as to whether or not we let her go. I think I'd be more inclined to, given it definitely seems like the problem is on our half. You know what I mean? Like we have messed up here. I don't think she's done anything particularly wrong in this situation. So, if we then said, hey,
The
we
only
messed
thing I
up.
don't like is the only thing I don't like is the accusation about like there being a disconnect between command and FTOs in terms of like their progress. We shouldn't have to be across that. That's the whole point of having FTOs, right? Like if we didn't want FTOs and we wanted to do it ourselves, we'd be taking cadets.
That's why I clarified it at the end, because I did want to make that point that, there isn't the disconnect. It's just that
it seems like she still has that opinion of like that there is a disconnect between us, and there should be. Like I've left the decision for promotions up to them. I said to Jigs today, is Lucas ready for promotion? And that's why I let him do it, because like they just come to me, say someone's ready. I say go ahead.
Yeah.
I might go back in and talk to Rodney and Maddie. I don't know. I'll see how they're feeling after that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go pee in the bushes.
Okay.
Come on, dude. And people leave left and right, man. I think once I got there, I realized this was a bigger issue than me saying, that than me saying that she's a good officer. I didn't realize how much it was gonna be FTO stuff. All right, I'll be back in a sec.
Good morning, Sock and Chat.
All right, I'm back. Do.
At the same time that solo cadets need to develop, FTOs need to develop as well. And like, yes, that's got to that's got to be hard on someone if they have, Jiggers has got experience, but not as an FTI.
Yeah, it's wrong.
And Kylie has experience as an FTO, but not to the extent of what the FTO program is now. And it's just the two of them that have been around for the past few weeks. So at the same time of like, well, hey, you didn't give me enough feedback. They also haven't had any feedback to do better.
Which is why I also mentioned the part where because I felt like that was going to be what I knew was going to be the answer. And sometimes people will have this reservation of that they're just going to wait to hear back from the other person. Whereas me, I'm more of a person that starts poking people. And like, hey, I'm jumping in with you. That's it, period. And I know other people are definitely not like that. That they wait to be asked if they want to come along. And then that other person could be waiting to see if they want to come along. Like, I could guarantee you the Jigs would say, yeah, jump in if she had asked. But I also feel like Jigs is not always going to be the person that does what I do, which is I see them just like, all right, I'm getting in. So it's a little bit of a two-way street on that on both sides.
And like, there's no one else experienced in FTOing that's been around in even other departments. Like, anyone who was heavily involved with FTOing before has taken a step back. So, like, I don't know. They've got the expectation to learn and help the cadets learn, but like, there's little leeway for them, I guess, as an expectation. I can't fucking hear him again. Is it me?
Oh,
no,
I just I agreed. Oh no, it's dark. I can't hear. Oh no, dark.
I can move me. Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I don't know.
I think what I was saying to Libby outside, my main issue is Jen is clearly aware that she had some kind of final leave there, failed, and then wasn't given the feedback as to why, which I think should have happened.
According to Jigs, he did though. That's the thing. Jigs said that he gave the feedback to Shana.
Was that yesterday?
Yeah.
But didn't she have like a final like 2 weeks ago? And he only gave it to her yesterday because I called him and asked him, because Jana came to me after a feedback meeting and wanted to talk to me on her own. And that's when she was like, I've had a final and I haven't been given feedback on it. So that's why I was like, okay, let me talk to Jigs. And then I spoke to Jigs, and then that's when he spoke to her. Jigs?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been on duty as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, he came back recently. He kind of took a little bit of a break, which I understand. He's kind of hit or miss right now, but he's pretty around at the moment. So.
Because I know that he had a little bit of a break, so I wasn't sure if that might have been did to the breakdown of community.
Yeah.
I think is still the thing that stops this from happening in the future is if we're wanting to have our solo cadets to be held to a higher standard, we need to be babying them a little bit more and riding with them and checking in on them. But I know that's going to become very taxing if we don't have enough people to do that.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be that often. By the way, Rodney, you keep getting very quiet when you're talking. When like at the end of words and things like that. But anyway, when it comes to like solos, I don't think it needs to be every now and then. It just needs to be, you know, maybe like once a week, once every 2 weeks, just be like, you know, do a review with the FTOs. Say, okay, they've been a solo for a week or 2 weeks. Has anybody seen anything that they need to get feedback on? Then people pipe up, even from like seniors, and then you go and speak to them and you say, hey, you know, you did great as a solo, but work on this. You know, you're not going to get a final until you work on this, and this improves, etc., etc. It doesn't have to be non-stop. I think Jana's problem is that it just didn't happen at all.
Yeah, well, that was supposed to be it, right? Is FTO and a senior once a week for solos,
Okay.
just so they can get that feel around the LSPD and get to know more people. Because as a solo cadet, you're by yourself, you're tagging onto calls and that kind of stuff, but you're not really in with everyone else. Because a lot of people will ride with other people all the time. Unless you get to the point where you're like, fuck you, I don't want to ride with anyone. I'm happy being by myself. But the majority of times, the solo is left out by themselves, so they don't feel really a part of the LSPD. So that's why I wanted to bring in the whole thing of an FDO and a senior once a week to ride with them, so they can still get that feeling and get involved in that kind of stuff, and make sure that we're picking up any of those little bad habits that we're not going to see if we're not riding.
Why has that not been happening?
Because I disappeared.
Okay. Was like, did you give the idea to the rest of everybody, or like, do they
Majority
know
of
that that
people,
should be
yeah.
happening? So
The
I mean,
majority of people, they knew my vision for FTOing and the solos, but I just ended up disappearing. So the ball would have just been dropped from there.
I mean, yeah, I think you know, there is partial fault in your court, but this goes back to the same thing about senior officers, in knowing what they can and should be doing and then not doing it. If you, as a supervisor in shift 3, have presented this idea to your FTOs and you want that to happen, that should happen whether you're here or not. So
Yeah.
I think there's fault in a lot of people's courts here. I think we
We can
just
get
need
it
to
back on track though.
yeah, let's get it back on track for all shifts. That should be something that's happening. We don't like. I'd be more understanding, I think, if we had a bunch of cadets, but we don't have a lot, right? We have
Not in
like
shift 3. We've got
The
one
issue
non-solo, 2
is-
solos.
We didn't have a lot of cadets, but we had Jigs who was doing FTO stuff by himself for about a month. So he had
I
to look
see.
after 2 non-solo cadets and 2 solo cadets by himself.
Yep.
Where he was doing 2 sessions a day with Jenna and the other solo. What's the other one's name?
Zach.
Sorry. Oh my god, Zach. So he was
Johnson.
doing 2 sessions a day as it was, one with Jenna, one with Zach, to try and get them through. Until Kylie came on board, 2 or 3 weeks ago. So, like, while yes, like things kind of hit a stalemate, it is also just unfortunate timing for a lot of things. We hadn't had time to develop the FTO program. Davenport wasn't on duty. I wasn't on duty a lot. Rodney wasn't on duty. So the only kind of people that left to be able to do anything with cadets was Jigs and maybe Espinosa, but Espinosa was also like a lot of those people who have FTO'd for a long time are burnout and they don't have the energy to train cadets in their full capacity because they like look at how long Espinosa had to do it. And he did help when I asked him to, but I don't think they necessarily have the drive to FTO all the time.
I know
Yeah, you
that,
really need the passionate people for it.
I know that Jigs has been trying to bring Kieran on more, but he hasn't been. Kieran hasn't been given the effort or putting the effort in for it, and that's what my concern was with him. And I said it to him. I said, make sure you reach out to Jigs to schedule a time so you can start working on this process for it. He just hasn't been doing it.
And I don't think that there's anyone necessarily interested other than those two.
Yeah.
Like, other than Kieran, I don't think there's anyone else that has said, yeah, I want to be an FTO in Shift 3.
I did say to Jigs today is that when Brandon's able to get on duty more, is that I kind of wanted to push for him to start learning the ropes and starting a little bit of a longer process, because I know he's only just recently officer. But I think that the way he had to learn and go through it, he really appreciated it, and I think that he'd be able to pass that down onto other people and help with that kind of stuff. But that's all down the track as an immediate future. I think that it just means I need to get on duty more again.
Like, Alice would be a great FTO, but she's not around enough.
Yeah.
Like, and when I said I think she'd make a great FTO, she said that she doesn't have the time, like she can't allocate guaranteed time to be able to be here and help out like consistently. And she doesn't want to take up a position when that's the case. And I told her, like, it's not the case of taking up a position because there's not like a finite number of FTOs we can have. But I think that she doesn't want to be a bad FTO when she's not doing the work, essentially. And then even just looking through the roster, I don't think there's anyone that stands out that would want FTO, which is okay because we're just not going to hire. If I can't guarantee that there's not going to be FTOs in Shift 3 to take them, then we just need to sit without some cadets for a while.
I mean, our officer
you know, we
numbers
have, I think,
good, haven't they been?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like
So
we're,
that's
we're in a
why
rush
when Shift 1 and Shift 2 have done applications and they've done interviews, we're not doing that in Shift 3 right now.
Yeah. We know what we need to do now anyway. So.
Yeah.
I don't know how you like instill that into someone in wanting to help and want to be an FTO, like, to be honest.
I mean, I'm sure there's people who are interested. They might just need to know that there is the opportunity to, you know, a lot of people just kind of keep their head down and do the work, and don't necessarily either have the confidence or want to be like, hey, I want to be an FTO. They might just, you know, wait until that's announced that we need them. You know what I mean?
Well,
and again,
I've said it at Shift 3 meetings consistently.
You have? Okay.
Like, if you are interested in FTO, then have a chat with Jigs because we need, like, he needs the help. I've said, because there was a meeting, I think it was the same meeting where Kylie had just become an FTO. I said, people need to help Jigs. And, you know, no one really expressed interest more than Kieran. I think a lot of people focus on the things that they want to focus on, right? Like, people have their interest, and FTO is an interest. You have to be interested in it to get the best out of your cadets. And there's just not people who have that, like, mindset of wanting to be an FTO right now. Like, an example is Breakaway. Breakaway wants to be a detective. That's where his head is. That's what his focus is with. Who else is there? Well, Eli's not around, so he's not counting. Brandon would be a good one. Greenway's not around enough. Mills is focused on his pack stuff, and Mills, his second job is an FTO, so I can understand him not wanting to be an FTO. Gussie is not around enough. Alice isn't around enough. Hova might be a good one, but I don't know what he's interested in.
I could ask him and try and get like a brief what his kind of goals are.
Anderson's not around enough. I don't think Iris wants to be an FTO. I could be wrong.
I spoke to Iris. She doesn't.
Yeah.
Alturo, I don't think wants to be an FTO. Robunko, he wants to be an FTO, but
God help us.
I think we're all on the same page with that.
And that's our list. Like,
yeah, it's rough right now.
I mean, we've only got one non-solo, so we're not too concerned about it at the moment. If we had a mass exodus of LSPD, yeah, we'd be fucking worried. We need to hire like crazy. We do not have the FTOs to handle that.
I will see how a conversation with BCSO goes, but I don't know how much her like problem is going to be solved in their shift because in their department because they don't have many FTOs either.
No.
I'll be honest, I think her
mention
switching will
stubble.
not solve her issues. I think it'll just be the same thing in another department.
Yeah, like they have Beric and Luca right now that are active as FTOs, don't they, for shift 3? And they
Yeah, I
have
think
command shit
Beric-
to deal with, so I don't know how much better going to another department's going to help.
I don't
I
think
think
that
She might
those other
actually have a worse opportunity, to be honest with you. I think
Sky as well, I guess. Brandy hasn't been on duty for a while, so it's Sky, Beric, and Luca.
Let's hope it doesn't get there. Let's just try and give her the support because I don't bullshit. I think she is the kind of ideal police officer that we want in LSPD. So I really don't want to get into the habit of losing officers like this, especially, one, because we want officers like this. Two, because FTOs have put a lot of work into this and we don't want to throw it away. And we want to make sure that we're supporting officers, and if she's not feeling supported, then I just want to make sure this doesn't happen again. That's my main goal. I think let's try and keep Jenna on board, do whatever we can to do that without pandering, because I don't like pandering. But I don't think she's the type that responds, like she's not looking for that anyway. And then number 2 is not letting it happen again.
Yeah. I did something that you missed as well, Dark, was I said what happens if they STSO or PBSO offers you an officer. She said she'd come back to us, and I said, I'll be honest with you. If someone comes back to me and says this department's offering me officer, what are you going to do for me? My response will be no. Just as a period, because that shit doesn't work. But it sounds like she still wants to be LSPD, but she also needs to have that that guidance that she would have been expecting, because she knew my ideas on what I wanted for solos. So we can fix it. We know what we need to do. We know what we need to do to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Agreed.
And, I'll work with her for the next week and try and get her up to scratch.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good.
One day, Dark will start saying nice things about me, though. I'll say that much. One day.
One day, maybe.
Yeah. One day I'll learn it.
Yeah. You're just looking a bit rusty at the minute.
Hey, you say that, but tell you what, last time I was on duty, I'm pretty sure I bagged 2 seaside warrants. It was hanging around for a while. Okay?
You did your job.
Okay? And listen,
No,
Luke
that's
and I
pretty good,
may or may
actually.
not have fucking taken down 3 PD officers as well during that.
What?
So,
Oh my
I did-
god.
listen,
Should have
they
stopped
did.
with the 2 seaside.
Okay, no, this is on those officers, right? You cannot tell us that they are on top of a building and shooting at us, and then decide to push the building without communicating it on radio. You damn straight, I'm going to start shooting at you. Right, so that's on those officers for just pushing that building without saying shit on radio that they're pushing up.
What are you crying for? Stop it.
And I just want to say that Luke and I were a damn good shot through that.
Yeah. Okay. Libby, you got anything else you want to add? Otherwise, I want to chat to you.
No.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm just gonna say, I'm glad this wasn't at Mission Row. God, I hate that building.
yeah, we need. We should get a new police department.
Yeah,
Something that isn't
something like
Mission Row.
Vinewood PD or something. That'd be crazy if we ever had that.
Oh, that would be nice to have that back. I know
imagine
that
that.
place.
Anyway, well, this has been my hold on, let me just check the time. Yeah, this has been my hours for today. Time for me to fly out to a Rusty Island, and I'll be back tomorrow.
Day.
What?
You said you're gonna come around and then you're leaving already.
Listen, I've been on duty for how many hours is it now? Please
Not
hold.
enough.
Please hold. Where am I? Listen, 2.7. That's decent. That's decent.
Gee, get out of
Is
here,
it?
Rodney. Get out.
Hey, I came here. I helped fix a problem. We'll get it all sorted.
Thanks, Mandy. Thanks, Rodney.
Yeah.
That's all now.
No problem. If you guys need anything, let me know. Open the door. Open the fucking door.
What are you doing?
You leave and you forget how to use your keys.
Me? I was looking at a charge.
Wait, a chart? You distracted?
Yeah. No, I just had my NDW on my face and I hadn't closed it
Okay.
yet.
I don't know whether this will fix the problem. But it might help. Who is our P&T head/heads right now?
Who is our what, sorry?
Like, who is our head of P&T?
Well, I don't know because, to be honest, I was waiting to see who stood up and did the work. Piper is great, and she's the one I have looking over the communications, and I think her and Minerva could work together really well. I just haven't locked in that they'll be P&T leads because I'm giving this as a test phase to see how they do. The hard part is, to be honest, SDSO and PBSO got 90% of the experienced FTOs.
Yeah.
Still want to be FTOs.
Yeah. I just feel like Jen is wrong in saying there's a disconnect between command and FTOs. That being said, I do feel like clearly when there isn't oversight, like Rodney's a good example, when there isn't a supervisor there to keep FTOs on track, then it falls through the cracks. And I think maybe if we had, one or two heads of P&T, that might help, keep everything on track. If that's their sole goal, is not necessarily to take cadets out, but to ensure that the whole program is running as it should. And I agree with you, like, about giving people a chance to step up and stuff, but I think we might be getting to a point where we might just have to choose somebody and hope that we've chosen the right person.
Yeah. I think that I've kind of put them in that position without officially telling them they're in that position because Piper has been doing that a lot. Like, she'll be the first person to organize meetings. She'll be the first person to say, about interviews and shit like that. The issue is that, Shift 3 is an island, and it is, where I don't feel like Jigs, this isn't against Jigs, because he, like I said, he was the only one doing anything, but he doesn't have as much communication with them as Shift 1 and 2 have together. They're the ones that are constantly talking in the channels.
Yeah. I think
if Rodney comes back, he would be the perfect person to head it for Shift 3. And that's what my plan was from the start, was for him to take it for Shift 3 by the raids. But the issue was he kind of had that break.
No, yeah, I agree. I think I always saw Rodney as that driving force there. So, yeah, I think obviously for Shift 1 we had Mike and Viv. Viv is now a sergeant, so that's unrealistic. Mike has been, MIA. Not MIA. I don't think he has, because I've seen him talking in the channel, but he hasn't been active. So, yeah, maybe somebody else for Shift 1. Minerva has been stepping up. I have been seeing that. I was even saying to Viv, Minerva's been promoted, and then already, yesterday, she was already stepping up as a senior should, so I was really happy to see that. So she's been a good pickup so far. And then Shift 2, I think Piper has kind of been there the whole way since we gave her the opportunity, So, yeah, it's kind of I don't know. Would you be more inclined to have like one head and then shift leads for P&T, or would you rather just have like the 3 shift leads be joint heads?
I think you need one. I don't know. I think you need a lead for each shift. And then maybe you can lock in one.
Yes.
But the 3 should be able to work together to the point where you don't need to lock in one.
I would agree. I think it's more like, I guess the way I think about it is, I don't know, if you have that one person that is super reliable and trustworthy can make sure that, you know, we have that consistency across all 3 of the shifts, right?
I think what it should be, like I think we should have the 1 per shift, and then like the decision falls between Piper and Minerva, right? In my opinion, I think the decider would be who puts more work into being the lead. But I think that they should come with more power. Like, I would like it if Minerva, for example, gets selected for the 2nd sergeant spot for shift 1. And then she, as her sergeant responsibility, Viv looks after the patrol units, Minerva looks after like P&T essentially, alongside with doing other sergeant stuff. But like that's her main like task is to look after P&T. Viv's is to look after the rest of patrol. But I don't know if that would work or not.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like what it used to be with DuPont, right? Like there was other people that there was 1 lead per shift. It was myself. I can't remember who else did shift 1 with DuPont. And then for shift 2, it was Jessica and Bison. But at the end of the day, DuPont was the one who kept everyone on task. But she was also a command member, like she was lieutenant and then
That's
captain.
true.
But she
Yeah.
still did that in her capacity as a command member.
Yeah. I think my initial gut reaction was, do we want someone who is in command also kind of leading a cert, if you know what I mean? FTO is one of those weird ones where it's like there's a lot of different cert leads. But I think FTO is a different ball game because, you know, sergeants are kind of like, you know, more now. So it kind of could make sense, especially if we had 2. Yeah, especially if we had 2. Okay, I think that's something to kind of, yeah, keep in mind, because I see how Minerva does. So we're, just to clarify, you want to look for 2 sergeants per shift, or do you want to do, you know, get 2 sergeants per shift and then look at who lieutenants?
Shift 2 would be a lieutenant and a sergeant, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think we need a lieutenant in every shift. I think a lieutenant and a sergeant in shift 2, though, to kind of counter us not being there, would be the benefit.
Yeah. Okay. I do feel guilty about this whole thing with what's her name, but I also feel guilty about being so out of touch with FTO things. You know, like that's why I kind of went to the P&T meeting the other day, because I was like, you know, I feel a bit out of touch. So no, I think we're getting there, but this is definitely a hurdle we need to get over. Do you want me to fill you in on last night's command meeting, by the way? I'll be honest, I don't think there's much other than things you already know.
Sock22 D Sock22 Rave
So yeah, it was mainly the senior issue.
Sock22 D Sock22
Yeah, I think I am across that. I think I've communicated my point, and we'll wait to see what Tiredi says back to it, I guess. I just don't think what they want is needed.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree. Yeah, I think solving the senior issue should not just be with a here's another thing you can do kind of band-aid. Like I kind of communicated to you, I kind of jumped at it because it was like, oh, that'd be really good for our seniors. You know, it's basically somebody else's problem that is giving us something, you know, good. But then kind of thinking about it big picture, it might end up being worse. So I think solving the actual issue first, you know, again, I don't think we have much of the issue, but I think as a PD, solving that issue first, and then kind of maybe having that discussion again down the line. But I think, I'll be honest, STO and BCSO, they're having an audit about whether their seniors are good at the minute. I think that's the plan. So they might be dropping some people off. Yeah.
And I think we have a tighter management over our seniors that we don't need to do that.
Yeah, I think, you know,
I think the Viv, Maddie, and
Sweets
would be the first people to tell us if we had that issue.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, I wasn't at the LSPD command meeting, but, you know, from the cliff notes, it looked like that conversation you guys already had and already agreed that, you know, we don't really have that issue anyway. Though a good idea was brought up, but again, I think it already happens with us. It's like senior meetings where senior and command kind of get together per shift. But I think like the idea is kind of doing it for a not just LSPD. It'll be like all the shifts, all the seniors in a shift, and the command in that shift get together and kind of get on the same page, which I think could be, you know, could be decent, could be good. But yeah, I think a big thing we kind of discussed, and I think is also good as well, is, and this was brought up by Svensson, and I do agree with him, that we should, like, when there is big calls, like a 1037 or a 1090 at the vault, or something like that, seniors have to be there. Basically, seniors can't be sitting on their hands. If there is one of these big calls and there is somebody there that maybe isn't doing the best they could, seniors have to be willing to step in and kind of take over and take the reins there to make sure that those high priority calls are dealt with correctly. And I think we have seniors who do that. Obviously, I can't confirm for shift 2. But I think we have that already. I think it's just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Was that a yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Did I tell you that Bass kidnapped me the other night? Well, not kidnapped me. Oh no, I did.
No?
I emailed you. Yeah, he when I got on duty, I was helping with
Bass
some.
kidnapped you. I didn't hear the first part.